yet that none of their political allies would be making it to the cabinet. The confusion came as doctors rejected the nominee for Health Secretary James Monene Macharia, saying the docket needed a medic.
Indeed, President Uhuru Kenyatta, however, insists the job only requires one to be a good manager. And so tonight we ask, what is causing the delay? Have the two leaders failed to agree on the final list, or is it a genuine desire to make the right choices?
We will sure be taking a look at just what the pre-election pact specified and what could be the sticking point. I'm Eric Njoka. Good evening and welcome to the program.
And I'm Bessie Callow. First, the highlights.
You allow us a little bit more time. We will work through the night if necessary.
The cabinet wait continues. Is it a deal gone sour?
He has absolutely no work experience in the health sector.
No clean bill of health. Doctors reject Uhuru nominee.
Principal Secretary's list. Big names bite the dust.
And residents flee Garissa as suspects are charged in court.
Right, we begin with a story from State House where President Uhuru Kenyatta failed to name the remaining list of cabinet nominees this evening, fueling speculation of a possible disagreement. The president said he would give what he called a comprehensive list tomorrow morning. At a dusk press briefing, the president and his deputy apologized for the delay, saying it was unavoidable. And for the first time, Deputy President William Ruto gave a strong indication that the cabinet may not have any of their political allies. While KTN's Rita Tinina was among the tens of journalists in that stakeout at State House, and she now joins us live from our city center studio. Good evening, Rita. A very dramatic evening it was. How was it for you?
Well, Njoka, indeed a very dramatic evening and a long one at that. Earlier on in the afternoon, the Presidential Press Service had indicated that that announcement of nominees for cabinet secretaries would have been made at 5:30 p.m. 5:30 came and went. PPS Director Isaiah Kabera came to ask journalists to give the two leaders more time. He said the announcement would be made at 6:15 to allow more Kenyans to get home and have a chance to watch the proceedings on TV. 6:15 p.m. came and went as well. Isaiah Kabera then once again appeared some minutes before 7 p.m. asking journalists to give the two leaders just 5 more minutes. Well, it wasn't 5 more minutes. The two leaders, President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy William Ruto, appeared at about 17 minutes past 7 to the delight of journalists. We all thought that finally the list is here, but the two did not have the list. They only had an apology. Here is the president's apology.
Ladies and gentlemen, and I know I'm also speaking to Kenyans as I speak to you, let me begin by apologizing to you all for being late. But as you know, today we had a visitor, our neighbor who was here, and our consultations took much longer than we expected. You were here with us earlier this afternoon, and so therefore we were not able to begin the work that we have been undertaking until quite late. And it looks as if we will need to continue for a while longer, because we still have quite a few people who we have to talk with in the spirit that I mentioned yesterday. So ladies and gentlemen, and my fellow Kenyans, our request is that you allow us a little bit more time. We will work through the night if necessary, and you can leave your items right where they are. Tomorrow morning, we assure you, by 9 a.m. latest, we will have a very comprehensive list for you of the men and women who will oversee the Jubilee agenda over the next 5 years. So leave your items just as they are.
Well, the president and his deputy also this evening allayed fears that there was a rift or disagreements on how to share slots between TNA, URP and other partner parties in the coalition, and that was perhaps what is causing the delay. In the strongest or perhaps the clearest indication yet that poll losers in the last general election will not be getting any slots in the cabinet, Deputy President William Ruto said that it is only himself and the president who will be the only politicians in the cabinet. Take a look.
Don't spend a lot of time trying to find amongst the nominees who is TNA, who is URP, who is the rest of the coalition partners, because they don't exist. These men and women are not politicians. In the cabinet, there will be only two politicians, the president and myself. These other men and women, their business is not politics. Their business is to deliver on the agenda we have for Kenyans. And for the record, in the interviews that we have conducted, we haven't asked any one of them which party they voted for, because that is not relevant when we are looking for the men and women that are going to serve this country in the cabinet secretary position.
Well, several names of poll losers such as Charity Ngilu, Najib Balala, Chirao Ali Mwakwere, as well as Professor Samongeri had been floated around. We'll wait and see what surprises the two leaders will have come tomorrow morning. We are also expecting that the two will release the full list, the final remaining 14 nominees come tomorrow morning, bearing in mind that they have already run into trouble with Parliament. Earlier on in the afternoon, Parliament declined to start the vetting process, saying they will only touch the list when they have the complete list, such a way that they can now deal with issues or ascertain issues of gender as well as regional balance. We took the president's advice. We have left our equipment at State House, Nairobi, and so tomorrow, bright and early, we will be there to bring you that big announcement. Njoka.
Thank you very much. Rita Tinina coming to us live from our city center studios, and we'll just have to wait for the president tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. as he promised, and his deputy as well, to announce the remaining list for that. Betty Kello is at the Super War with the what to expect in this pact, the Jubilee Alliance. That's the URP deal and the TNA deal. Over to you, Betty.
Well, thank you very much, Njoka, for that. But of course, looking at the statements that the Deputy President and the President himself have been making, they're of course categorical that there are no differences that is leading to the delay in naming the whole 18 cabinet. But we want to take a look at where exactly this started. And this started on December the 3rd, 2012, just 2 months before, actually 3 months just before the general election. Let us now take a look at the TNA URP deal. They signed, of course, on December the 3rd, 2012. They agreed on a 50-50 sharing formula. That was the agreement that they had. This meaning that all the public appointments will be shared upon them 50-50. Also including the cabinet positions that they have. Now, looking at again, and actually constitutionally, there are 22 slots for the cabinet positions. But of course, Uhuru Kenyatta was categorical, saying that he would want a lean cabinet of only 18, and we'll see them split them. Actually, we'll wait to see if they'll split them 9-9, in regards to the pact that they made. Now, let's just go back to the graphics before that kindly. it will be showing that the other deal was that URP to take the Senate Speaker, and which of course is Ekwe Ethuru, and the Majority Leader in the National Assembly, that is Aden Duale, and Deputy President, that is of course William Ruto. That was also part of the pact that was signed between TNA and URP in December last year. Also, the other argument was that TNA gets the presidency and the Speaker of the National Assembly, which of course is Justin Muturi, and it has actually come to being. That is, of course, those are some of the highlights of the TNA-URP deal before the general election, the 50-50 sharing formula. We have seen, of course, we'll see in the next board how this is coming to fruition. Let's now move on to the dockets that are between the two, TNA and URP. Well, multiple sources tell us that this is how the leaders are going to be sharing this different dockets. Let's now take a look at TNA dockets. Interior and National Coordination, Ministry of Defense, Foreign Affairs, which you've already seen has been taken up by Amina Mohammed. Also Education, Health, which has been taken by James Macharia, and Mining. These are the dockets that they agreed that TNA would take on once they actually take on power. Let's move on to URP, National Treasury, which already has been taken by Henry Rotich. We saw that yesterday after the announcement. Energy and Petroleum, Transport and Infrastructure, also this go to URP. This is of course according to our multiple sources. Moving on to the other one, Information, Communication and Technology, which has already been taken, like we saw yesterday, by Fred Okengo. And Agriculture is the other docket that URP was actually wanted. Adding to the list, Industrialization and Enterprise Development and Devolution and Planning docket. These are some of the other dockets which URP are indeed looking at. But of course, in the clip there, we saw William Ruto saying that it's not a political issue. They're not really determining who takes this position in regards to who supports which party. But of course, looking at the dockets there, we'll be waiting to see if indeed they keep to the promise that they will keep this as technocratic as possible. Let us now take a look at some of the sentiments that they shared last year when they were making this deal.
We believe that this campaign should be run on issues. It should be run on the platform of performance, on results, on delivery.
Mikutano ya mahoteli imeisha. Mikutano ambaye sasa imebaki ni sisi viongozi na nyinyi wananchi kule mashinani tukiongea sera.
Sentiments there last year on December the 3rd, 2012, when they were making the pact between TNA and URP. And staying with the cabinet nominees, and the Kenya Medical Association has rejected President Uhuru Kenyatta's choice of banker James Macharia to head the health docket. The association says the health docket is critical and someone with a medical background will be the best for the position. And as Angel Katusia reports, the doctors reckon the government is taking a risk by appointing someone without a medical background.
Macharia is also a qualified CPA.
James Wanaina Macharia, a holder of a master's degree in business administration and a former NIC bank managing director, was among the first 4 nominees named by President Uhuru Kenyatta, winning himself a slot in the health docket. Among the 4, he was the only who was chosen to ride a docket he has no background in. And just before the dust has settled, the Kenya Medical Association is opposing Uhuru's choice of a banker, saying the health sector can only be served efficiently by someone who has a medical background.
It is important to note that he has absolutely no work experience in the health sector. There are many health sector professionals with significant experience and track records in the management of issues in the health sector.
The association says it is unfortunate for the president to bypass a large number of qualified health professionals who can execute the job and go for who they termed as an outsider. They want the president to allocate Mr. Macharia another docket and appoint a suitable person in the health docket.
If you combine somebody who has technical knowledge in the sector that they're going in and managerial skills, they do much better than if you bring an outsider just because they've got managerial skills.
Cabinet secretaries are accountable to the president for the exercise of their powers and the performance of their functions. A cabinet secretary shall attend before a committee of the National Assembly or the Senate when required by the committee and answer any question concerning a matter for which the cabinet secretary is responsible. They shall act in accordance with the Constitution and provide Parliament with full and regular reports concerning matters under their control. Whether these functions require any appointee to have qualifications in the field they will be allocated, it is the task of the Committee of Cabinet Appointment to handle. Angel Katusia, KTN Prime.
And that story by Angel Katusia leads us to a big question tonight, and we ask you, do you support the doctor's rejection of the health secretary nominee? Do you support that rejection by the doctors of the cabinet secretary appointee or the nominee there? Send your yes or no response to the brief comments, the number 8040, and we'll sample your views during this live newscast and give you the poll results at the tail end. And to discuss this further, Tony Nasirembe is a human resource professional. He joins us live on KTN. Welcome to KTN and good evening to you.
Thank you, Eric.
Now, looking at that story that aired, doctors are agitated with James Macharia being nominated as the cabinet secretary for health. Others are saying, so what if he gets to the health department? Right. So what? There's the Kenya National Hospital, Kenyatta National Hospital for that matter. It had an accountant. So what about James Macharia? What is it about James Macharia that is eliciting, so much reaction? If I ask you, as a practitioner, as a human resource practitioner, what is the criteria that we are looking for here?
Thank you, Eric. The criteria we're looking for here is team effectiveness. We as Kenyans elected our president. We elected the deputy president. And we gave them the responsibility of choosing a cabinet. Yes, you, Eric, or any Kenyan, is going out there to choose a friend whom they believe in, someone they can work with. Like your best man in the waiting wasn't just anybody you picked on the road. Yes? Now, when we're talking about work, like in this particular case, the president is considering a lot of things. He's going to put together a team that will deliver the promises to take this economy to the double-digit level. It's not going to be just mere talk. Yeah. It's going to be action. So you're looking at the criteria. Can these men and women deliver to the Kenyans?
But looking at the criteria and looking at the CVs, this guy or this new cabinet secretary has been appointed having a background of a manager in a bank. But let's just listen in to what President Uhuru Kenyatta had to say about this reaction. What was his reaction to these speculations, as people are putting it? Let's listen in.
To our colleagues who are raising issues, I think we all need to accept and to understand that at the level of cabinet secretary, what we're looking for are managers and individuals who are capable of implementing the agenda that we have. Definitely, that will also involve teamwork and people who have the capacity to build teamwork in various sectors. So we do believe that the individuals who we have chosen do have the capacity to ensure that the respective ministries or sectors that we have signed to them are individuals who can deliver and work with those who are either in the medical profession, the teaching profession, and other sectors. So I think we are really choosing on the basis of individuals who do have that management capacity to work even with those individuals who operate within those sectors and to be able to deliver results for Kenya.
Well, Tony Nasirembe is a human resource professional, and he's live in studio listening to the president. He's looking for merit. He's looking for people who can deliver. And waiting for the list, because it has been a long wait. What can Kenyans expect? What can Kenyans look out for in the remaining list?
Eric, His Excellency the President, I think Kenyans should be very proud to have a man like that. A man who is talking about team. A man who is talking about effectiveness. A man who is talking about policies. To deliver in the medical profession, it's not to require one person. It's going to require a whole team. And so you need a leader. So the cabinet secretary in this particular regard is about leadership. It's about effectiveness. It's about achievement of the agenda. The strategic plan for the medical sector is not going to be done by one person.
Of course.
So you need a team. Take, for example, people who watch football. The Kenyans do a lot of watching football. You cannot tell the coach to put someone else who is not capable in the goal, or put someone who is not capable to strike, or put someone who is not capable in the midfield. All those people are selected very carefully, despite the talent. Yes? If you put a goalkeeper, talented goalkeeper, to strike, you probably not score any goals. Yet that person is talented. Yes?
Maybe as we wind up, I'm sorry for the time, but as we wind up, there are three goals you look out for as a human resource professional. What are they? I was interested in just knowing knowing that. Just very quickly, the three goals that you look out for.
Eric, we look for competencies. One is the core competencies. Then we have the technical competencies. Then we have the strategic competencies. You want a strategist to use the core competencies to engage the technical people. You are running the ministry, the health ministry. It's going to require technical people. The doctors, for example, are technical people. Their fears, to me, I think are unfounded, really. Because they haven't tested the voting. I mean, just by looking at it, they can say, this guy can deliver. Give him a chance. Let's give our president a chance.
It's too early to judge. Okay, let's listen to the people. Thank you very much, Tony Nasirembe. He's the human resource professional that we had today discussing what our big question is asking. Do you support the doctor's rejection of the health secretary nominee? The number to send your answers to is 8040. Begin with your name and your location and give us a brief comment to that. Over to you, Betty.
Well, Eric, as the country awaits the announcement of the cabinet secretaries, government business is at a near standstill, despite the fact that permanent secretaries are in place. Little official government business is being transacted until they are sure their jobs are guaranteed, begging the question, who really is running the ministries in the absence of the ministers? Well, KTN's Aunt Kiguta has the details.
I, Uhuru Kenyatta.
2 weeks after the Jubilee government was sworn in, its wheels are turning at a paralytic pace. With cabinet secretaries yet to be appointed and the current permanent secretaries forced to reapply for their jobs, not much seems to be happening, and it's easy to see why. PSs who are still holding brief before the transition to a new government is complete are among the 155 candidates who have been shortlisted for principal secretary positions. And with interviews pending, none is willing to sign any documents or commit to any official position until they know their fate. In the actual functioning of government, there is little cabinet secretaries actually do that PSs can't. They attend cabinet meetings, change policy and appoint members to boards. But it is the fear of their clout that holds back PSs from acting until they know who their new bosses will be. A permanent secretary who spoke to us on condition of anonymity, as he too has reapplied for his job, said the absence of cabinet ministers should not slow down the government's functions, since PSs are the ones who do the technical work anyway. Commonwealth practice dictates that when there is no cabinet secretary, the president holds brief for that department. And while in fact this is true, multiple sources have told KTN that the fear of the unknown is holding back sitting government officers from performing any real duties. Yes, they are showing up to work, but they are not willing to append their signatures to any document until they know two things. First, if they will get their jobs back, and second, who their new bosses in the form of cabinet secretaries will be. And the situation could prove disastrous if immediate action isn't taken, as the country is in need of key interventions. The current floods that have spelled havoc across the country lack the daily face of a leader coordinating the efforts. And then there is the budget-making process, which has specific timelines outlined by the Constitution. Yesterday, the President sought to allay fears that all was not well.
The Permanent Secretaries responsible for various dockets have been in office. The process of budget making is still on course, and I do believe that as much as the times are really tight, I really do believe that Treasury will submit the required budget policy statement on time and deliver the budget on time.
What may be more puzzling, though, is the fact that the President and his deputy only nominated 4 cabinet secretaries, with 14 more positions to be filled.
We wanted to do things differently. We just didn't want to look at CVs and then pick on the basis of CVs. We wanted to meet these individuals and to see how we rhyme together and our ability to work together, and also to get to understand what their own visions for Kenya are.
Despite this explanation by the President, it is not clear why the two, knowing well the challenges in operations, would not present a full list for immediate vetting. Sources within the Committee of Appointments say they are already considering reducing the vetting period for nominees to avert a crisis. While PSs should continue with the technical work, one cloud hangs over them. They do not know where they stand and are unlikely to prejudice their chances of securing a job. Ann Kiguta for KTN.
Well, President Uhuru Kenyatta, in naming the first 4 cabinet nominees yesterday, set yet another precedent in the unveiling of cabinet.
Well, when settling for technocrats as cabinet secretaries, President Kenyatta has deconstructed the process traditionally hinged on rewarding political cronies and paying patronage.
And as Samogina reports, it is a practice that has thrived through 3 successive regimes.
Unlike the past regimes where political patronage and cronyism reigned as the central factor in cabinet appointments, the Uhuru Ruto administration is breaking new ground in coining their government. From the list of cabinet nominees, professionalism and education appeared to override political linkages, as President Uhuru appears keen on government driven by technocrats from top to bottom.
It is indeed our intention to put in place a cabinet that has the capacity to deliver not just on the manifesto, but to deliver on the promise of a transformed nation.
Under the successive Kenyatta, Moi and Kibaki regimes, cabinet positions were used to reward loyalists and punish rebels. Appointments to the cabinet were the president's secret weapon of power. In 2005, after the government-led rebel group Orange Movement led a successive onslaught against the government-sponsored draft constitution, President Mwai Kibaki then cracked the whip against the rebels, hiring friendly allies.
I expect the new ministers and assistant ministers to strictly adhere to a new code of conduct and a management accountability framework intended to enhance collective responsibility.
The cabinet then was a preserve of trusted aides to the president as he clamored to centralize power within the presidency. Politicians with close ranks to power acted as the president's eye planted in key crucial ministries to safeguard government's interest devoid of education or skills, at times leading to a public spat between ministers and their assistants.
Mimi nina masters kutoka Leeds University, lakini nilibidi nirudi shule nifanye PhD.
Kwanza yeye alikuwa mpiga gita juzi. Alisoma lini, alienda shule gani, hiyo anatuambia hapa. Kazi yake ilikuwa anapiga gita hapa, anacheza ndombolo hapa.
MPs who funded the president's campaign or consolidated their region to vote in the president will be rewarded with the cabinet positions regardless of their professional status or age. They had earned the tag regional strongmen or kingpins and remained indispensable.
Our first nominee is Dr. Fred Okengo Matiang'i.
But it is an advent of a new chapter witnessed at the unveiling of cabinet secretaries at State House, where personal bios, education qualification and skills formed a package in forming the nomination of cabinet secretaries. No doubt a factor that has left many hangers-on scratching their heads, especially poll losers who had been lobbying for cabinet slots, but who may not have the papers President Uhuru Kenyatta and his deputy are looking for. Samogina, KTN, Nairobi.
Off to matters securities. 6 days after the killing of 10 people in Garissa, police continued with their operation in Garissa, arresting suspects and arraigning them in court.
The suspects that have so far been taken to court have been charged with failing to register as Kenyans. Sophia Wanuna is in Garissa and has filed the following report.
Following the Thursday shootings, police arrested and screened over 300 people. 18 of them were arraigned here at the Garissa Law Courts, and today 50 more were arraigned, all facing charges of failure to register as Kenyan citizens. Those who pled guilty were fined 1,000 shillings or 1 month behind bars, and those who maintained their innocence were told to return here with their national identity cards tomorrow. But 6 days after the tragic incident, police are yet to charge any suspect with the shootings, despite reports indicating that 6 key suspects had been nabbed. And as the police crackdown continues here in Garissa town, most of the residents are concerned by the manner in which it has been conducted.
Morning time, when the people are operating their shops and they are in their businesses, they come here and beat the people and terrorize and harass it. And that's not, the criminals are not here. The criminals, they are among the people, but you should not beat everybody you see on the street.
Kama jana tumekuja kuuza hapa miraa wanatushika. Miraa wanaturusha kwa gari. Wameenda na gari. Sasa msichana mmoja ameangukia kwa gari.
Wafichwa na askari pale akiwa na mimba. Anaambiwa na jamaa huyu mama ako na mimba achane hasikii kitu kama hiyo shipo.
This is Kwashege Holiday Inn, a popular eatery right in the heart of Garissa town. And on Thursday last week at about 8 p.m, gunmen attacked, shooting indiscriminately, leaving 9 people dead. 1 more person succumbed to his injuries later. It is, however, not the first time that this eatery has been attacked. Last year, 6 people were killed, dozens others were injured in a grenade attack. The inability by security agents to stop the wanton attacks and apprehend the criminals behind these attacks in Garissa County has led to alarm and despondency among the communities living here. Sophia Wanuna, KTN, Garissa County.
Thank you very much, Sophia Wanuna, for that update from Garissa. We'll be keeping you up to date with what is happening in that region. And just before we take a break on KTN Prime, a reminder to our big question tonight. And we had asked you, do you support the doctor's rejection of the Health Secretary nominee? That's James Macharia.
Okay, send your yes or no response with a brief comment to the number 8040, and we'll sample your views during this newscast and give you the poll results at the tail end of this bulletin, where you are watching KTN Prime. And just ahead,
if the latest news reaching the KTN business desk is anything to go by, Kenyans could soon pay